Senator Cory Booker of the great state of New Jersey. Last week, you were part of a bipartisan group of senators who announced that they have come to an agreement on a proposal to create legislation for some, as it's often called, common sense gun reforms or gun control. Can you give us some sense? This is still being drafted right now. It hasn't been passed, hasn't been voted on. Can you give us some sense of what you hope ends up in this bill to be voted on?
So I talked to the principal negotiator, an incredible senator, incredible person named Chris Murphy, on the way here, and we're very, very close to getting a bill text out to the nation. And then we have a very hard and fraught path to actually pass it. But this bill has really important things that are necessary for the safety of our country, but not sufficient. It is a stride in the right direction.
Let me just stop you one second. Yes. Why is it such a hard and fraught path to get it passed? Aren't there already 10 Republicans who'd say they will vote for the proposal as it is, which would beat the filibuster?
So there are, but we have to hold that. We have to hold those folks.
Okay.
So they are all, including Mitch McConnell, I'm with this framework, but I want to see the text. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be something that's going to have to be there. And then, as I've seen, there are all kind of games that could be played on the Senate floor to try to kill the bill, to put a poison pill amendment on it or something like that. Mm-hmm. So we are way ahead of where we've ever been. In 30-plus years in the Senate, we have never gotten this close to passing gun safety legislation. So we are in a good spot, but we have a lot more work to do. And when I say we, not just the 10 Democrats, 10 Republicans that are on this bill, I hope we as Americans will continue to let our government know we want this, our senators know that we want this. But the bill has some very important things in it, closing something called the boyfriend loophole. We've told if you're convicted of battery against your wife, you can't get a gun. But if it's your boyfriend, there's a loophole that allows that person to get a gun. There are something that we call red flag laws in this bill to give states resources to do things to help people who might be a danger to themselves or others to temporarily, with due process, suspend their rights to have a gun. There are something I've been working for since I've been a mayor. A lot of the guns that get here to New York through New Jersey are done by straw purchasers. These people that you are not able to buy a gun because past conviction, so you get somebody to go in with you and you point to the gun you want to buy and that person buys those guns. So it has penalties on straw purchasers. It has a more involved background check for 18, 19, 20 people under 21 to buy certain weapons, which could hopefully catch folks that are intending to do serious harm and serious damage. And then it has something that's just common sense. We do need money in this nation to support people with mental illness. Even though I worry about stigmatizing people with mental illness are less likely than other Americans to be involved in committing crimes of violence and more likely to be victimized by them. But we all know we don't do enough in our country to support people who are mentally ill. And I'm hoping there'll be some resources in it as well to fund community-based programs that are evidence-based, that are proven to lower violence.
The House passed a background check. The House of Representatives passed a universal background check piece of legislation last year. It hasn't come up for a vote in the Senate. What is the role of the filibuster here?
I mean, so the filibuster is one of these things that I've come to think is wrong. I was originally one of these people that said, well, what happened when Paul Ryan was the Speaker of the House and Mitch McConnell was in charge of the Senate and Donald Trump was there? All the things they could have done if we didn't have, as a minority in the Senate, the power to stop that. But I've now come to realize, in my opinion, that the filibuster is stopping common sense legislation that the overwhelming majority of Americans agree on. Obama had a filibuster-proof majority and passed something called the Affordable Care Act. Actually, had to do it and use some Senate procedures. And when they tried to get rid of it, most Americans by that point loved their health care and didn't want it to change. And you had people like John McCain and others stopping him. So there's a whole bunch of things that America wants done that die in the Senate because of this rule of the filibuster, which was used mostly in the modern era to stop civil rights legislation. And so right now, the most of Americans believe in universal background checks. Most of Americans support things like gun licensing. You need a license to drive a car? Why not have a license, need a license to buy a gun? Most Americans support, raising the age to buy these weapons to 21 and more. So we can't get those common sense things done that are supported, most of them by a majority of Republicans, because of this filibuster. And that's why I'm one of the people in the Senate that believes we should end the filibuster and be able to get things done that the American people really want us to do.
We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Senator Cory Booker, everybody. Stick around.